Howdy fellow YouTubers, my name is BobStraitFTW, and if you guessed by the title, today we're going to talk about the ultimate downfall of Battlefield 1. Let's talk about authenticity. In World War I, the majority of weapons that were used were old bolt-action rifles. And even though that there were machine guns, they were very immobile and mainly used for stationary defense. Towards the end of the war, they started bringing in submachine guns, but they didn't really see much action. Now, for those of you that didn't play the beta, the majority of this game is fought with submachine guns or LMGs or guns that have automatic fire in some way, shape, or form. And the bolt-action rifles that were so iconic in World War I are locked behind a single class, the sniper class. Now, someone that bought this game solely to be put into a World War I kind of state of mind and play that game, they're not gonna like this game, and it's because so many things about this game go against what World War I was. Which means that as for a target demographic, DICE is focusing this game around previous Battlefield players. I hope DICE isn't kidding themselves by thinking that someone that is new to Battlefield will really enjoy this World War I shooter. Now, as a previous Battlefielder myself, I actually really did like the game, but probably not as much as I think I'm going to. I honestly think it has something to do with relatability. I've seen this amongst myself and friends where I have a difficult time playing a game that isn't a modern day first-person shooter. The two that come to mind as modern day first-person shooters are Rainbow Six Siege and Battlefield 4. And people like me that only play first-person shooters for the most part are the biggest demographic that exists, or else you cannot explain Call of Duty. It's a game that comes out every year and changes a little thing about it, or sometimes a large thing about it, and it still gets a significant amount of people that buy it, and there's so much money in that game. And whenever Call of Duty decides to go back in time, that's usually revered as a pretty good game. Same thing with their modern day shooters such as Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2. Now, once Call of Duty started doing things that weren't relatable and started doing future stuff, that's when their game started getting pretty bad. And World War I was so long ago, very few people actually have any kind of connection to World War I. And as someone who doesn't actually know a lot about World War I, there are three things that come to mind when you say World War I. Let me know what comes to your mind when I say World War I in your comment in the comment section below. What comes to my mind is bolt-action rifles, trench warfare, and cavalry. Those are the big stories that are told all the time about World War I whenever that subject comes up. Now, there are horses in this game, and they do feel really, really cool to ride and really fun. But as for trench warfare, I have yet to see anything, and that may just be because we've only had 2 maps, and maybe one objective at one of those maps was an actual trench. Now, another subject I'd like to bring up in the relatability aspect is why did Hardline do so bad if it's set in a more modern time? And that has to do with the fact that each faction has access to weapons that normal police officers or normal criminals don't have access to. I do think that that's what made that game feel so odd and so weird in so many different ways, and what inevitably drove their entire player base away. Battlefield, as of now, is stuck in this rut of creating games for Battlefield players, which takes away from their other games. And if they aren't playing the other games, then they're playing the current game. And if they aren't playing the current game, then they're playing the older game. And because they've set the precedent of the next Battlefield game is going to be for you, the Battlefield player, every Battlefield player is going to buy it. But that also limits them in what they can do and change about the game as to not piss off that large amount of players that they're taking from their other Battlefield games. When they change things about Battlefield, new players come in, but the thing is that those new players don't have this odd dedication to this first-person shooter that they will play until the next one comes out, because those new people that come usually only play for either a week to a month. Whereas if they designed the game more towards the Battlefield audience, which are all of the Battlefield players in unison, in combination, in the whole world of the Battlefield, then that game gets played past a month and possibly even towards the next one. To sum up what I've said, Battlefield 1 is in this weird spot where DICE seems like they're trying to target it at people that aren't Battlefield players, but at the same time, it's a Battlefield game. There's nothing about it other than, you know, the aesthetic that makes it World War I. It's a Battlefield game set in World War I, which also means that if you did not like previous Battlefield games, you will most definitely not like this one. Now, here's the real question. Since this is going to be a Battlefield game designed for Battlefield players, will the aesthetic and horses and all that be enough to rip people from their other Battlefield games? Now, I do know that with the new Battlefield UI, they're kind of incorporating you can play every game all the time if you really want to. But I just don't see as of now how the hell that can make money. Now, every Battlefield player that I know is 100% getting Battlefield 1 because it really does feel like another Battlefield game. But is the aesthetic and all that enough to keep Battlefield players playing Battlefield 1, or will they bounce back to Battlefield 4? I do think that it's about time that in the gaming industry of everything going on that we go back in time, because this is a perfect time for Battlefield to kind of take that market. You can also see where companies have a difficult time making a game that goes back in time because you have to start that game 3 years previous. You don't know where the market's going to be in 3 years, and I think that Battlefield nailed it when it came down to timing. It's in a perfect spot where people are just sick of future stuff. They're so sick of it. So many people are like, why does the Infinite Warfare have to be in the future? Dang it. Ooh, what's this game that's taken place in the past? So as of initial sales of Battlefield 1, I think it's going to break records, most definitely. As for long-tail players, there doesn't seem to be anything to keep you playing this game over all the other Battlefield games. That's all I really have to talk about. I do think that Battlefield 1 is going to be a good game, but I can't see myself playing it past a month after it's out. Now, a month after it's out, if I'm still playing it and enjoying it and having a significant amount of fun, I will gladly eat my words, because this is a game that we don't really know what it's going to be like a month down the road. There are so many different variables that go into, is this going to be a good game, that we just don't know right now. All we can really do is try and predict the future. If you made it this part of the video, please put the word Battlefield, that's an easy one, in your comment in the comment section below so that I know that you watched the video all the way to the end, and to the best viewer and or subscriber ever. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really help me and my channel out.
That is all.
And like shoots the thingy things, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you can shoot the thingy things. Where's the sniper? I don't know where he is. Oh,